In a world that constantly celebrates productivity, efficiency, and doing more, the art of doing nothing can feel almost revolutionary. We are often conditioned to measure our worth by what we achieve, how busy we are, or how much we can accomplish in a single day. Yet, there is profound value in stillness, in stepping back from the relentless pace, and in simply allowing ourselves to be. Doing nothing is not laziness, it is a practice, a conscious choice to pause, breathe, and reconnect with ourselves. When we embrace the art of doing nothing, we give our minds space to wander freely. Without the pressure of deadlines, notifications, or constant engagement, our thoughts flow naturally. Creativity often emerges in these unstructured moments, revealing insights and solutions that might never surface under the weight of constant activity. Moments of nothingness can feel empty at first, but they're fertile ground for imagination, reflection, and personal growth. Doing nothing allows us to reconnect with our senses. When we slow down, we notice the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the gentle rustle of leaves, or the subtle patterns of light in a room. These small, often overlooked details can ground us, bringing awareness and presence to everyday life. By simply observing without expectation, we cultivate mindfulness, learning to appreciate the richness of ordinary moments that often pass unnoticed in the rush of our schedules. The art of doing nothing also teaches patience. In a culture obsessed with speed, waiting can feel uncomfortable or even wasted. Yet, when we practice stillness, we learn to tolerate silence, to let ideas unfold at their own pace, and to accept that not every moment must be filled with activity. Patience becomes a companion, helping us navigate life with calm, balance, and a deeper understanding of our own rhythms. Doing nothing encourages self-reflection. Without the distractions of constant tasks or social media, we can listen to our inner voice more clearly. We begin to understand our desires, fears, and priorities, gaining insight into what truly matters. Reflection in stillness is not about judgment or critique. It is about observation, understanding, and a gentle curiosity about ourselves. This practice can also enhance our relationships. When we learn to be comfortable with stillness, we bring presence into our interactions. We listen more attentively, notice subtle cues, and respond with thoughtfulness rather than distraction. Doing nothing doesn't isolate us. It enriches our connections by helping us show up fully, with attention and care, for the people we value most. The art of doing nothing nurtures emotional resilience. Pausing allows us to process feelings, release tension, and regain balance. It provides a mental reset, preventing overwhelm and burnout. In moments of quiet, we can observe emotions without being controlled by them, developing perspective, composure, and inner strength. Stillness becomes a tool for emotional clarity and well-being. Doing nothing reconnects us to simplicity. In a world dominated by noise, schedules, and obligations, slowing down reminds us that life does not always require doing, achieving, or acquiring. Sometimes, the most meaningful experiences are those that require nothing but presence, awareness, and openness. In this simplicity, we find contentment, gratitude, and a sense of peace that no constant activity can replace. The art of doing nothing also deepens our creativity. Unstructured time allows the mind to explore freely, make connections, and imagine new possibilities. Many of history's great thinkers, artists, and writers credited moments of leisure and idleness with sparking insight and invention. When we step away from the constant busyness, we create space for ideas to flourish naturally. Finally, practicing stillness reminds us of the impermanence of life. By embracing quiet, unhurried moments, we learn to savor time, appreciate the present, and recognize that life is not a series of tasks to complete, but a tapestry of experiences to inhabit. Doing nothing teaches us that simply being, is valuable in itself. It is in these moments that we reconnect with our own humanity, our creativity, and the simple joys that often go unnoticed. Doing nothing challenges our cultural conditioning. In societies that constantly celebrate busyness, stillness can feel uncomfortable or even wrong. We are taught to equate value with output, and moments of rest can trigger guilt. Yet, choosing to pause is an act of resistance against this relentless pressure. It is a conscious acknowledgement that our worth is not defined by how much we do, but by our capacity to be present, attentive, and mindful. The practice of stillness fosters mental clarity. When the mind is not constantly processing tasks or distractions, thoughts become more organized, insight emerges, and problem-solving becomes more natural. In doing nothing, we create the mental space to notice patterns, connect ideas, and see solutions that may have been obscured by busyness. This clarity is not forced. It arises gently from the act of allowing the mind to settle and breathe. Doing nothing nurtures creativity in ways structured time cannot. Without constraints, the mind can wander freely, exploring ideas without pressure or expectation. Many artists, writers, and innovators have described breakthroughs occurring during idle moments, while walking, staring out the window, or simply sitting in quiet. Stillness is a fertile ground for imagination, offering a space where inspiration can strike unannounced but powerfully. It also allows for emotional recalibration. When life is filled with activity, emotions can accumulate unnoticed, creating tension or stress. Moments of stillness give us time to process feelings, release tension, and regain perspective. Doing nothing is not passive avoidance. It is an active engagement with our inner world, helping us to maintain emotional balance and self-awareness. Stillness deepens our appreciation of time. In the rush of schedules and deadlines, moments can pass unnoticed. By slowing down, we become aware of subtle shifts in light, the cadence of daily life, and the small, often overlooked details that make experiences rich. Time stretches in quiet reflection, and we learn that presence is far more valuable than perpetual action. The art of doing nothing strengthens patience. When we allow ourselves to be idle, we confront the discomfort of waiting and the anxiety of inactivity. Over time, we develop the ability to tolerate uncertainty, let experiences unfold naturally, and recognize that life does not always require immediate action. Patience cultivated in stillness carries over into other areas, enhancing resilience and equanimity. Stillness fosters self-compassion. In quiet moments, we can observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, developing a gentle curiosity toward ourselves. This practice nurtures acceptance, reduces self-criticism, and encourages a balanced perspective. Doing nothing teaches us to honor our own need for rest, reflection, and presence. Doing nothing enhances our connection with nature. Moments spent in quiet observation of a park, forest, or even a single tree allow us to attune to rhythms beyond our own. The rustle of leaves, the patterns of light, and the subtle shifts in weather can become profoundly grounding. Nature, in turn, teaches patience, observation, and the beauty of simplicity. Stillness strengthens intuition. When the mind is uncluttered by constant activity, we become more receptive to subtle insights and inner guidance. Quiet moments allow us to hear the thoughts and feelings that are often drowned out by distraction, giving us a richer sense of clarity and direction. The art of doing nothing cultivates gratitude. In idleness, we notice the small pleasures of life, the warmth of sunlight, the comfort of a chair, the taste of food, or the rhythm of breathing. These simple observations cultivate appreciation for the everyday, grounding us in the present rather than always reaching for the next task. It encourages reflection on priorities. When we step away from busyness, we are able to evaluate what truly matters. Doing nothing creates a space to consider whether our actions align with our values, helping us to make intentional choices rather than operating on autopilot. In the modern world, doing nothing has become almost a radical act, a deliberate choice that challenges the dominant narrative of productivity and constant activity. When we allow ourselves to sit, to pause, and to simply exist without the compulsion to achieve or perform, we enter a space where the mind can breathe and the spirit can expand. This stillness, though it may initially feel uncomfortable or even counterintuitive, offers a profound opportunity to observe our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings with a clarity that is often obscured by the noise of daily life. In these moments, we become more attuned to the rhythms of our own bodies, the subtle shifts in mood, and the flow of energy that underpins our days, creating a heightened awareness that fosters balance and presence. Doing nothing cultivates patience, but it is a patience that is active rather than passive, a patience that requires us to tolerate discomfort while observing the passage of time without interference. In a society that prioritizes immediate results and constant engagement, the willingness to simply be demands courage. It forces us to confront our own impatience, our habitual need to fill silence with action or distraction, and in doing so, teaches a lesson in humility and acceptance. Through repeated practice, we begin to notice that the world does not collapse in our inaction, that the mind does not stagnate, and that insight and clarity often emerge only when we release control and allow life to unfold at its own pace. Engaging in deliberate stillness nurtures creativity in subtle and surprising ways. When the mind is freed from the pressure to perform, when it is released from the habitual churn of tasks and responsibilities, it gains the freedom to wander, explore, and make connections that would otherwise remain hidden. Thoughts that may have seemed disparate or unconnected begin to coalesce into ideas, solutions, and visions that emerge organically rather than being forced. Many of history's great artists, writers, and thinkers have described moments of insight occurring during idle moments, during walks, or in the quiet spaces between obligations, demonstrating that creativity is not a product of relentless effort alone, but often of allowing space for reflection, observation, and imagination to flourish naturally. The act of doing nothing encourages emotional regulation, providing a kind of internal space in which feelings can be acknowledged, processed, and understood rather than ignored or suppressed. In the rush of activity, it is easy for emotions to accumulate unnoticed, creating tension, anxiety, or stress. By stepping into stillness, we grant ourselves the opportunity to observe these emotions without judgment, to notice the subtle shifts in energy, and to understand the underlying causes of discomfort or joy. This practice fosters emotional intelligence, helping us to respond to ourselves and others with calm, insight, and compassion, rather than reacting impulsively or out of habit. Stillness allows for a deeper connection with the natural world, a reconnection that is often lost in the hum of technology and urban life. Sitting quietly in a garden, a park, or even by a window, we begin to notice patterns, rhythms, and subtleties that are usually overlooked: the gentle sway of trees in the wind, the play of light across surfaces, the quiet presence of birds and insects. These observations, which might seem minor or insignificant at first, gradually cultivate a sense of wonder and appreciation for the intricate, interwoven beauty of life. By engaging in this kind of mindful observation, we deepen our connection to the environment and foster a sense of belonging and harmony with the world around us. Doing nothing is also a practice in cultivating resilience. By facing moments of inactivity and silence, we learn to tolerate discomfort and uncertainty without being overwhelmed. We develop the ability to remain grounded even when there is no immediate solution or action required, strengthening mental and emotional endurance. Over time, this resilience extends into other areas of life, equipping us to navigate challenges, setbacks, and transitions with composure and patience. Recognizing that growth and understanding often emerge in the spaces between action and reflection rather than through constant effort alone. The practice of stillness enhances self-awareness in ways that are difficult to achieve through activity alone. When we step away from the distractions of routine, social obligations, and digital noise, we encounter our thoughts, desires, and habitual patterns with greater clarity. This self-awareness is not about self-criticism, but about observation, curiosity, and understanding. It allows us to recognize unconscious behaviors, habitual reactions, and recurring thought patterns, providing insight into our own minds and creating the foundation for intentional, mindful action in the world. In moments of deliberate inactivity, we cultivate a heightened sense of presence that transforms the quality of our experiences. Rather than moving through life on autopilot, stillness encourages us to fully inhabit each moment, to notice sensory details, and to engage with our surroundings and relationships more attentively. Whether it is the taste of a simple meal, the texture of a favorite fabric, or the cadence of conversation, these experiences are enriched by our conscious attention, revealing the depth and richness of life that often remains unnoticed in the rush of doing. Doing nothing teaches us the value of reflection and contemplation. In a culture that prizes immediate results and external validation, reflection is often overlooked or undervalued. Yet, taking time to pause and consider our experiences, actions, and goals fosters clarity, perspective, and wisdom. It allows us to assess whether our choices align with our values, to recognize patterns that may need adjustment, and to anticipate outcomes with a calm, informed perspective rather than reacting impulsively. Reflection in stillness is not idle thought. It is active engagement with the inner landscape of mind, heart, and intention. Stillness nurtures intuition, the subtle inner voice that guides us toward choices aligned with our true selves. In the absence of constant noise, distraction, and external input, we become more attuned to internal signals, to the quiet nudges of instinct, and to insights that emerge from deep reflection rather than logical analysis alone. Cultivating this intuitive awareness allows us to approach life with greater confidence, clarity, and authenticity, trusting in the wisdom that arises from our own observation and presence. The art of doing nothing strengthens our ability to observe and appreciate subtleties in the lives of others. By cultivating patience, attentiveness, and mindfulness, we become more sensitive to the nuances of communication, emotion, and behavior. This heightened awareness fosters empathy, enabling us to connect more deeply with others, respond with understanding, and build relationships grounded in genuine presence rather than superficial engagement. Doing nothing thus becomes not only a personal practice, but also a social skill, enhancing the quality of our interactions and relationships. Stillness promotes creativity by allowing the mind to make unexpected connections between ideas, experiences, and observations. When the pressure to perform is removed, the brain is free to explore patterns, analogies, and associations that might otherwise remain hidden. This process often leads to innovative thinking and problem-solving, revealing solutions that are both imaginative and grounded. Creativity cultivated in stillness is organic and sustainable, arising naturally from a mind that has space to wander, play, and synthesize experiences without constraint. Doing nothing deepens our understanding of impermanence and the transient nature of life. In quiet moments, we observe the ebb and flow of thoughts, feelings, and external circumstances, recognizing that nothing is static or permanent. This awareness fosters acceptance, reduces attachment to fleeting successes or failures, and cultivates a sense of peace that is grounded in the present moment. By embracing the impermanent nature of life, we develop resilience, adaptability, and a capacity to find meaning even in uncertainty. Stillness enhances memory and learning. When the mind is not constantly processing stimuli or divided across multiple tasks, it is better able to consolidate experiences, integrate knowledge, and retain information. Moments of pause allow reflection, repetition, and connection making, improving understanding and long-term recall. Doing nothing, paradoxically, strengthens the capacity to absorb and utilize information more effectively, highlighting the cognitive benefits of rest and contemplation. Engaging in moments of deliberate inactivity fosters humility. In stillness, we confront our limitations, acknowledge the boundaries of our control, and recognize that not every outcome is determined by effort or intention. This awareness cultivates a sense of humility, grounding us in reality and teaching patience, tolerance, and compassion for both ourselves and others. Humility nurtured through stillness becomes a stabilizing force, guiding behavior, decision-making, and interpersonal engagement. Stillness strengthens focus and attention. By regularly practicing quiet reflection and conscious observation, we train the mind to concentrate on what truly matters, filtering distractions and prioritizing clarity. This focused attention improves productivity, decision-making, and creative output when action is required, demonstrating that deliberate inactivity is not wasted time, but an investment in mental acuity and effectiveness. Doing nothing nurtures an awareness of the interconnectedness of life. As we observe nature, human behavior, and the flow of events without interference, we begin to see patterns, relationships, and underlying structures that are often invisible in the rush of activity. This awareness fosters a sense of connection, belonging, and responsibility, cultivating a mindset that is both reflective and engaged with the broader world. Stillness invites contemplation of values and priorities. In the absence of constant distraction, we can examine what truly matters, reassess goals, and make intentional choices aligned with our authentic selves. Doing nothing becomes a mirror for evaluating life's direction, helping us to act with purpose rather than habit, and to navigate decisions with clarity and integrity. The practice fosters emotional intelligence by creating space to recognize, observe, and understand feelings without being overwhelmed. In quiet moments, we notice subtle emotional shifts, patterns of reactivity, and responses to stimuli, which enhances empathy, self-regulation, and interpersonal sensitivity. Emotional intelligence cultivated in stillness is durable and profound, influencing both personal well-being and social harmony. Stillness enhances perception of beauty in the everyday. By slowing down and observing the ordinary, we notice textures, patterns, sounds, and rhythms that are often overlooked. A simple walk, a cup of tea, or the play of sunlight through leaves becomes a rich, immersive experience, revealing the extraordinary in the mundane and fostering a sense of gratitude and wonder. Doing nothing nurtures a contemplative attitude toward time. By stepping away from urgency and deadlines, we perceive life as a continuum rather than a series of tasks to be completed. This shift allows for deeper engagement with experiences, greater presence, and a reduced sense of pressure or anxiety about the passage of time, cultivating a more balanced and mindful approach to living. Stillness encourages self-compassion. In quiet reflection, we become more forgiving of our mistakes, gentler with our ambitions, and more accepting of our limitations. Doing nothing teaches us that rest, pause, and reflection are not indulgences, but essential practices for sustainable well-being, growth, and fulfillment. The art of doing nothing fosters resilience in thought and action. By regularly engaging with stillness, we train the mind to remain calm, flexible, and grounded even amidst chaos or uncertainty. This mental and emotional resilience becomes a foundation for navigating challenges with clarity, composure, and resourcefulness. Doing nothing cultivates a deeper connection with our inner creativity, intuition, and sense of purpose. Freed from external demands and distractions, the mind can explore ideas, reflect on desires, and contemplate. Doing nothing deepens our awareness of rhythm, the subtle cadences that structure our inner and outer lives. In the quiet, we begin to notice the pulse of our own thoughts, the ebb and flow of emotions, and the tempo of daily routines. These observations reveal patterns that often go unnoticed when we are constantly engaged in activity, allowing us to synchronize more fully with our own natural rhythms. Recognizing these patterns nurtures balance, making it easier to act with intention rather than react impulsively, and fostering a sense of harmony that permeates both internal experience and external interactions. Stillness encourages the cultivation of presence in relationships. When we are accustomed to moments of doing nothing, we carry that ease and attentiveness into our interactions with others. We listen more deeply, notice subtleties in tone and gesture, and respond thoughtfully rather than reflexively. This capacity for mindful engagement fosters genuine connection, empathy, and understanding, transforming casual interactions into meaningful exchanges. In essence, the practice of stillness becomes relational, enriching not only our experience of ourselves, but also our experience of others. Doing nothing expands the capacity for reflection and foresight. In quiet contemplation, we gain the mental space to consider consequences, evaluate options, and envision possible futures. This reflection is not analytical in a rigid sense, but fluid, intuitive, and exploratory, allowing for insight to emerge naturally rather than being forced. By stepping back, we can see the bigger picture, integrate experiences more coherently, and make choices that align with our long-term goals and values, strengthening both personal and professional decision-making. Stillness enhances our connection with beauty, whether in nature, art, or everyday life. Without the distraction of constant activity, we notice the subtle textures, patterns, and colors that make the ordinary extraordinary. A single ray of sunlight through a window, the curve of a leaf, or the rhythm of a bird's song becomes a profound experience when observed with full attention. This heightened perception fosters gratitude, wonder, and a sense of intimacy with the world, reminding us that life's richness is often hidden in details we normally overlook. Doing nothing strengthens patience in ways that ripple across all aspects of life. By sitting with quiet, unstructured moments, we learn to tolerate uncertainty, embrace delays, and accept outcomes without forcing them. Patience cultivated through stillness translates into our work, relationships, and personal projects, allowing us to respond with calm, thoughtful action rather than impulsivity. This subtle shift in approach nurtures resilience, emotional stability, and a capacity to navigate challenges gracefully. Stillness cultivates self-knowledge and authenticity. In the absence of distraction, we confront our habits, patterns, and preferences with honesty and curiosity. Doing nothing becomes a mirror for introspection, revealing aspects of ourselves that are often obscured by busyness or external expectations. This awareness fosters authenticity, allowing us to align actions, choices, and communication with our true selves rather than performing according to societal pressures or habitual routines. Doing nothing nurtures mindfulness in perception and thought. Quiet moments teach us to observe sensations, emotions, and mental patterns without judgment or interference. This cultivated awareness sharpens our attention, reduces mental clutter, and strengthens clarity. Mindfulness in stillness is not a passive state, but an active engagement with the present, allowing us to respond to situations with intelligence, calm, and creativity. Stillness deepens creativity and innovation. By freeing the mind from constant stimulus, we provide space for ideas to emerge organically, unconstrained by deadlines, expectations, or pressures. Connections between seemingly unrelated concepts surface, allowing novel solutions, insights, and expressions to unfold naturally. The art of doing nothing, in this sense, becomes a laboratory for imagination, experimentation, and intellectual exploration. Doing nothing fosters emotional equilibrium, providing a space to observe, process, and release accumulated feelings. In moments of quiet, we can acknowledge both tension and joy, allowing energy to flow without blockage or suppression. This practice enhances resilience, reduces stress, and strengthens the capacity to navigate life's complexities with composure. Emotional equilibrium cultivated through stillness becomes a resource we can draw upon in challenging situations, ensuring that responses are thoughtful rather than reactive. Stillness cultivates a profound sense of presence and gratitude, allowing us to inhabit each moment fully and appreciate its uniqueness. By embracing quiet, unstructured time, we become attuned to the subtle textures of life, the warmth of a morning cup of tea, the rhythm of our breathing, the gentle sounds of the environment around us. Doing nothing teaches that value is not always measured in action or output, but in the richness of experience, the depth of awareness, and the quiet joy of simply being. In a culture that prizes action above all, the art of doing nothing is a radical and necessary practice. It invites us to pause, breathe, reflect, and simply exist without judgment or pressure. By embracing stillness, we cultivate mindfulness, creativity, emotional resilience, and a deeper appreciation for the richness of everyday life. Doing nothing is not emptiness, it is space for growth, presence, and connection. And in that space, we discover that life itself becomes more vivid, meaningful, and profoundly satisfying.